Hi, my name is Itu Khubeka. I am a creative entrepreneur, brand strategist, social media strategist, whichever title you feel fits best. But I do work in the social media and branding space. And today I'm hanging out with you guys to talk about my experience as a creative entrepreneur.
Talk about your first client. Like we just guide us through your first client when you started, when you realize that, listen, I actually want to do this for a living and I don't want the normal 9 to 5. I want to take my own path.
So my journey was a bit weird. So
We love weird.
yeah, when I left my last full time, like in the traditional structured job, I was a general manager of a consumer insights agency. And when I left that, I went on a mission to sign blue chip clients. I wasn't trying to, and not to sound cocky or anything, but I wasn't thinking small business.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to go pitch at McDonald's. I'm going to go pitch at Spa. I'm going to go pitch at Builders. So I'm just pointing at all the brands I see outside.
Yeah.
And I remember I got featured by this, it's like a woman's entrepreneur empowerment page, whatever. They did like an illustration of me and we did a bit of an interview and they're like, oh, you've left your job. And this was 3 months in. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. So what kind of clients? When I listed all the meetings I had, they're like, what do you mean you've got a meeting with like, I think, I can't remember the brands, but like, she was really shocked. And I think a part of her almost like was probably thinking this girl's delusional.
Yeah, like, she's not gonna get those clients.
Yeah, she just like stepped out of a 9 to 5 and she thinks she's gonna get a meeting at Checkers. And funny enough, like I think delusion is actually a good thing because I went there with my marketing experience, which at the time was, I think I was sitting on like 10, 11, 12 years experience in the game. So working in brand activations, working in consumer insights. So what I knew was working with brands of this caliber. Yeah. So my mind didn't even stop to think that I'm crazy. My mind was just like, of course this is possible. It's just different because I'm one man, woman.
Yeah.
And one of my first gigs, 3 months after leaving my 9 to 5 job, was Rain.
Wow.
The mobile data company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, that the delusion, I literally, and how I got that gig, I had a business partner at the time. We drove to their head office and we literally like, hi, who's the head of marketing? And they're like, so and so. So I was fortunate because I knew so and so, but not like that. So we got the job on merit because we pitched. No one else had approached them, which we were like, whoa, we're in a good position.
Yeah.
So we did a pilot influencer campaign for them for 3 months. Technical reasons why we didn't continue, and it wasn't any bad blood or anything with the brand. They were also based, head office moved to Cape Town and we were in Joburg, and there were just like synergies that just weren't working. And also this was before COVID, so no one thought we can like work virtually like that.
Yeah.
There was this need of us being close by and certain projects we just couldn't run with, and then it just ended. But my point is I went into it with like,
wow,
I'm gonna go pitch.
Yeah, and that's what I think most creators who are starting out are scared of, right? Especially when it comes to being a freelancer. Most people are scared of approaching brands because you think, okay, maybe you look at someone who's running a small business and you feel kind of confident to approach them. But when we look at the big brands, you're like, they'll never work with me. Like, how did you get like the confidence to approach Rain?
Like I said, I mean, I came in with experience. So in my mind, I didn't think I was not qualified. In my formal job, my job was to pretty much help pitch. Yeah. So we had a new business manager. I was general manager of the agency, and in a lot of new business development meetings, I would be in sessions with him. I would help him prep, and in most cases, I'm quite a talker. I would do the talking, and we'd like, would have a synergy. So it wasn't a foreign space to me. It was like, yeah, but I've been doing this for them.
Why can't I do it for myself?
Why can't I do it for myself? So it was a lot of experience and a lot of delusion. Like my mind didn't think you're crazy. My mind was just like, you got this. You've been doing this. You're just doing it under your own brand.
Yeah.
But it does take getting comfortable in a space, and there's nothing wrong with starting with small businesses. And the funny thing is, I've actually flipped now. I've retracted from wanting to go big brand because it's also, we were lucky with Rain.
Yeah.
Lucky in the sense that, yes, luck is preparation meets opportunity. So my experience in marketing, the confidence in knowing I can do this was the preparation.
Yeah.
And the 10% was the opportunity was the person in charge at the time was someone I actually knew. So it was easier to be like, can I come pitch? Yeah. And they were like, sure, come meet my team, tell us your story, and we'll take it from there. So there's that. But now I'm just like, after that gig, not that it became harder, but the reality of you're not always going to know the person. You're not always going to have someone who wants to give you a chance.
Yeah.
You're not always going to speak to the right person.
True.
So it takes a lot of like consistent knocking, and I don't think a lot of people want to do that.
Nope.
And unfortunately, that's the only way you get it. I mean,
you have to be ready for the no's.
You have to be ready for the no's. You have to get comfortable with pitching. So from a small business perspective, so like if you're a small business creative agency or whatever, you need to get into the habit or find a person that you can pay that will be that ongoing go to find business person that's immune to rejection, that doesn't take it personal. If they're not seeing the plan right now, it's fine. We'll talk for the next brand. And it's an ongoing thing. And I think as small business owners, we take for granted that it's actually an always on function.
It has.
You don't just do it when you're like, now we need money, let's go find clients.
I think that's where we all kind of, as freelancers, right? We kind of stop there. You get the 4 clients and you realize, okay, maybe I'm getting 50K a month, and you're like, okay, I'm good, and you stop there. Then all of a sudden, maybe something like COVID hits, you lose all those clients, and you're back in the market hunting. We don't know how to keep going, to keep getting those clients.
It's an always on thing. Like that's how agencies who are set up and in the game, they've got a new business person, and that person's sole job is to continuously find new business while the rest of us work.
Exactly.
So even with your small business, even as an independent contractor, you need to start thinking about, how do I keep that? It's a pipeline. Like how do I make sure that this is part of my day to day? So when you structure your week out, maybe Mondays is for sending out invoices or chasing invoices that haven't been paid. Maybe Tuesday is content calendar scheduling day. Like I'm going to sit with all my calendars and schedule. Wednesdays, maybe you're more open to taking meetings, catching up with your clients. Then Thursday, Friday, you're prepping for the new week and you're sending out your company profile and opening conversations. You need to set it up in your system so that even I constantly need to do this. Same thing applies for those who want to be professional influencers, who want to do it as a career. So one of my clients is actually an influencer. Believe it or not, I get paid by an influencer.
Yeah.
I get paid by an influencer, amazing human being. And I think what makes her win as an influencer, so maybe she's not a small business or whatever, to a certain degree, yes, we can say she's a small business, but she carries herself like a brand. She doesn't say, I'm an influencer. She says, I'm Itu. I'm Lebo.
Yeah.
I have this, I bring this to the table. Here's my media kit.
This is how I work.
Here's how I work. We recently did her website. So she takes herself seriously. How we started working, me and her, was I did her media kit. And from there it was like, please do my branding. So I did her media kit. We did her logo. So now she looks like a brand. She feels like a brand. She shows up online like a brand.
Wow. Social media, right? Everybody feels like they can post anything at any time and still be able to run businesses, right? Because there's this whole thought of my business is a different page from my personal page. So I can post myself in a bikini on my personal page, and I can post myself, doing anything that I want to do. right? And I've seen or have experienced that it kind of has a backlash where clients are now seeing you, like how we spoke earlier of WhatsApp having a mixture of your family and your clients and all of that, which is the same for Instagram because everybody's on Instagram these days or everybody's on TikTok, right? So just take me through how you then maintain your personal brand, or how did you start your personal brand? Because I'm sure you didn't just open an Instagram account and decide, listen, this is going to be my personal brand.
First step is always to, I call it, what's your story? Like, understand what my story is. Like, why do I even want to be on social media? What is my goal? What am I trying to get out of social media? Am I trying to make money? And we must be frank about these things, because there are a lot of people who just like, I just want followers, and they'll never tell you outright that they want to make money. Or some say, I want to make money, but how? Like, what, you know, like you don't even know. So it shouldn't be about like, I want to make money, so help me grow on social media. It should be like, you know what, I'm passionate about this. This is what I really love doing. I want to help other people with what so whether it's a product or service, like I want people to lose weight. And I want to see as many people skinny as AF, as, you know, and I want to be that girl that puts them on. And by virtue of that, I'll make money because I'm helping people.
Exactly.
Oh, snap. Okay, now let's use social media as a tool to get you there. And 9 times out of 10, if you're going to approach it the other way around and say, I want money, and then don't know how, don't care how, let's just get to the money part. Outside of social media, it just doesn't work like that. Like in real life as well, it doesn't work like that. I don't know if you've experienced it on your end with clients, or maybe in your own journey as an entrepreneur, where when you're not clear of the story and what you want to do with your work or yourself, it gets harder to get this mythical concept of the pot of gold that you're chasing, but you don't have. It boils down to what work you do, number one. It boils down to what your business structure is, because some people, it's very hard to detach your personal brand from your business. Because 9 times out of 10, the reason why you have business and customers is they bought into your personal brand. But I believe in showing up authentically. So if you're a person that, if we make a bikini thing an example, you know, like if you're a person that has a relaxed sort of open approach to you know, like I believe in, like I said earlier, there's strength in being vulnerable. Obviously there's limits, like you can't share everything because then you make yourself too vulnerable. But I believe in having honest conversations, which is a big part of my personal brand. And it's worked for me because I give people room to feel like they don't need to overthink who they are, how to approach me. They don't need to feel like they can't talk about certain things or be ashamed of an experience that they're going through because what are people going to say? I'm like the opposite of that. I try and approach my content in, if you like, this is what I'm going through and this is how I navigated it. And by virtue of that, I've had a lot of people DM me like, thank you for that post. You helped me like feel better about something I was struggling with. A few months ago, I did a post about how I used to be a single mom of one, but that changed. And, you know, we pivot in life. I used to be the general manager of an agency, but now I work for myself. The number of people that commented, DM'd me. I heard stories about the one lady was telling me her car is being repossessed. And when she saw my post, it reminded her that she can start over. And she said, thank you. There was a woman who was walking out of a very toxic marriage. And she said, thank you for the post. You gave me like room to see that I can start over and keep going. Because I've had to start over so many times as an individual and as an entrepreneur. And for my personal brand, that is a big strength because it allows me to have deep connections with people. It allows me to work with people who are like, you know what, I want to work with someone who's authentically showing up. No frills. What I see online, I mean, obviously there's like curation, like the feed will obviously look really nice and our lives aren't that perfect. But for the most part, when people meet me, I want them to feel like, heck, the stuff she posts when she's goofing around on stories or whatever, it's the same person. Because the wild part is I've actually met people who are completely different in real life, where you're like, but you like this online. Are you the same person, you know?
Wow.
So there are people who are like literally just doing it for social media. And for me, it's almost like knowing what your values are. If you're a private person, you know, I'm what works for me won't work for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. People must know that, okay, Level moves like this.
Yeah.
She's super professional online. She's factual. She's not going to give you fluffy information, whatever. And if that's what your brand stands for, that's what will work for you. So
Yeah.
if you're like, I want to empower my audience by giving them like factual knowledge, then you become that pillar.
Yeah.
And it's not about your personal life. Whereas me, I'm a balance of both, which is why if I'm gonna post a bikini shot and you don't want to work with me after that, that's your own problem.
Yeah, that's
you know,
on you.
because I'm a human being. I'm living this life thing out loud, you know. And when I decided to invest in myself as a personal brand, it was by virtue of realizing that COVID, I don't want to lie, was a big turning point positively for me.
Yeah.
Because now the world is on standstill and people are like, what the hell? How do we function now? How do we do business? And for people like me, it was a moment to be like, oh shit, like your work can be seen because it's needed right now.
Yes.
And that's where I was like, okay, I need to invest in showing up like properly. And I started watching people in the same space and how they're doing the things. You know, like I would follow Erin on Demand in the beginning.
I love Erin.
You know, so I was just like, okay, she looks serious about what she's doing. Oh, okay, I should probably also just like, you know, clean things up a bit. And oh, okay, she's actually working online. So okay, cool. And I just like watch her. Then there was Vanessa Lau. And I know like with all these people that we follow online, their journey is their journey and you don't really know what happens in the background.
But you could learn from it.
I learned a lot from these online personalities where I was just like, there is room for someone that I can see myself in her, you know? So I started with small things. Like I said, it's like the professional registering a domain. So people who like interact with you like, damn, this is a business.
Yeah, because like you were saying earlier on, it's the small things that you do for your personal brand. You don't have to, you know, always go big or, you know, make sure that you don't have to go big. It's the small things, like you said, the email signature, the domain.
And people don't take it seriously. And I'm like, that's what changed the game for me, because my first few clients, and you asked me earlier, like literally when I decided I'm a business.
Yeah.
I went out and registered a business bank account.
Yeah.
So maybe my first 2-3 clients, I got paid in my personal account. Then after this, I was like, I'm making this a business. And I went to F&B and I opened a business account. So from the email, I registered my domain. So I had professional email. At the time, I was very active with keeping my website up to date. I used to write weekly blogs. I literally had people give feedback that I look forward to your blogs, and I didn't think people actually read. So I started structuring myself like a proper, like it's online real estate and you invest in it. You know, like you need to put those things up. So fine, website is the extreme, but like when people started dealing with me from there, it immediately removes that like she's a chancer. Is she actually going to do the work?
Yeah.
I mean, if she can take herself seriously enough to have a proper invoice, a lot of freelancers don't have invoices. Do you know how many people I've worked with where I'm like, can you send me an invoice for this? Like we've done, and like even invoicing structure. A lot of people don't have and know the basics. So for me, I went out and created an account with Wave. So I had my little accounting system. I had my Wave thing. So I got my invoices from Wave, nicely branded invoices. So when you worked with me, and this is 2-3 months into the journey.
Wow.
Each month, just building on the little things. So proper invoicing, email signature, website, I would say is like, it's not a must, but it made a difference for me.
Yeah.
And then the content.
Yeah.
Then it was just like, okay, I actually need to tell people about what I do. I actually need to show, you know what I mean? And that changed the game for me.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Okay, cool. So to just close things off, right? We just want to know from a working for yourself point of view, what's been your weirdest client experience? One that made you think, oh God, no, I can do this, but I don't want to do this.
In the journey of working for yourself, you're gonna come across a lot of interesting characters, and I suppose on their end they also think this girl's an interesting character. There have been extremes like where to give you an example, I think this the biggest extreme boiled down to, I wouldn't even say miscommunication, but there was like this like misalignment in what we had initially agreed on. This was deep within COVID, and this client got sick within this journey of us working together. So there wasn't really room for us to communicate around things we were not happy about properly.
Yeah.
Because she was in hospital at the time, and then I'm upset about, something not being taken care of, but she's like, she's been gone for a while, so she's not even sure. She's like, but you haven't been doing the work. But I'm like, but I've been doing the work. I'm actually a month, 2 months ahead. So why haven't I been paid for this? And it got so ugly to the point where she DM'd my husband at the time.
Oh my goodness.
She DM'd one of my friends who was working with me on the project. It got really ugly. But fortunately, she was DMing the wrong people.
Yeah.
DMing people who are like, what the hell? She paid
None of my business.
So the thing boiled down to she wasn't willing or wanting to pay for work I had done, and I brought the receipts to say, here's the work that was done, here are my people that I even worked with, so there's no way I did not do the work. But she was also trying to catch up with like what's been happening in the system. It got to a point where I did a website job for her. And when you're a freelancer or working for yourself and you need leverage. So like let's talk photography. Some photographers are like, I don't care, pay me upfront before I do the gig because I don't want chances. Some are like 50% upfront, 50% whatever. So we did the website, whatnot. And at this point, for me to get my payment, like, what do I hold on to? Because I'm giving her work all the time. And my partner at the time was like, deny her access to her website because she's not going to pay you. And the person that I am, like, I'm like,
that seems so harsh.
It's so harsh, but like, I was like, how am I going to get my money? So I was just like, and she had like a big project coming up. Like a lot of people needed the sites and they needed access. And I was like, no, pay me.
Yeah.
And that's why she DM'd. It became so ugly. And it was just like, at some point I was like, I don't want this energy.
Yeah.
I let go. I gave her website access, and my partner was like, no,
don't do it.
No, I'm like, at this point, I don't have the energy to be, if she doesn't want to pay me and she feels like I didn't do the work, even though I did, at this point, my peace of mind is way more than the money. And I let it go based on that. But I know for other creatives, other people who work for themselves, they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
That was very awkward. It was very awkward. Like, the one lady I worked with is a close friend of mine, and she was like, oh hell no, we are not giving her this website. We are not giving. So I'm sure in your world you've probably also seen like creatives holding work at ransom because they haven't been paid or whatever. I don't have the best advice on how to deal with that right now, but my way was, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I feel like we're kind of similar in that way because I worked with a designer who I paid for the work but didn't deliver the work. Right. So now starting out the business, I've paid so much because it was such an investment. I'm like, I need the work done, and he refused to do the work. Right. At one point he got so busy he couldn't do the work, and I was like, okay, please refund me. Okay, cool, I'll refund you in the next week. And that's where the conversation ended. And I realized it's not worth it. Sometimes it's really not worth it when you look at the time that you spend chasing the money. Because at that point I was thinking, I'm going to take him to small claims, I'm going to do the amount of time, the amount of money that goes into
the
that.
energy, your whole aura is just like,
you know what, keep it, it's fine.
I wish we had maybe someone watching this, maybe even you, come up with a solution similar to how Upwork, when you do work on Upwork, I think it's called being paid in escrow. I can't remember the proper term, but the client pays the money, but it doesn't get released to you, the freelancer, until the work is done. So everyone's protected. So if you're not going to deliver, you don't get the money. And also, as a client, you can't book someone if you don't have the money. It would be nice in the South African context if we had a very simple solution where you pay money into this thing and it's almost like our contract as well. And you'll get it when you're done. And you'll definitely know you'll get paid, because on both ends you run the risk
in the
of
middle.
you run the risk of doing work you might not get paid for, or you run the risk of paying someone who's not going to give you the work,
Exactly.
But you also get to learn people. Some you'll need to let go. Like, I've paid people who I've wanted to help me with work similar to you, and you either the quality is not what you wanted, or
and
like
you let
it go, and you're just like, look, man, I lost my money, but like, let's let it go. So
push it aside.
let's push it aside. So yeah, I really wish there was a system that helps everyone, so that there's more opportunities for, like, in the African context, like freelancers, creatives, because it then empowers you to, I can definitely do work I'll get paid for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. We are done.